Number 6 story of the year, the Wareham Gatemen moved on after the death of longtime president John Wylde.
They're Mr. Everything.
Absolutely.
John Wylde, the man who saved the franchise back in the 80s.
And just being in town, I mean, I'm a Wareham guy, just being in town and having the Gateman season start and having John not be there and not be out there as an ambassador for the team within the community, I think that's where it was felt even more so than not hearing his voice at Spillane Field.
It's when you think about, and we're going back a ways before I was here, to think about what that Gateman team was like before John came along. I mean, they were out of the league. Mm-hmm. They were a bad team. They were leaving town. In something like that, you know, when we're talking about the Bay Sox struggling to kind of establish an identity, you need that sort of, you know, gigantic force, whether it be with the passion, the time, the money, whatever it is that they can commit to it. He became everything that the Gatemen needed, and I think a big part of what they needed to do this year was kind of establish themselves and find the people to do all the things that he did. Talking to Tom Gay, who became the GM of the team and was the president of the team and basically had to take on any number of different roles because, as he said to me, there's things that we didn't find out we had to do, you know, until John wasn't here to do them anymore. Mm-hmm. To be able to marshal the forces that you need to keep an organization like that running at a high level in a very high-profile league where you're getting some of the best college players in the country. He said all along what he wanted was for that team to make the playoffs. It had not done so the last couple of years, and it's a largely all-volunteer force for them. And just for them to be able to make the playoffs, to kind of feel like, hey, you know what? This thing isn't going to fall apart without John, and to have something to hang a hat on for them. And they ended up doing it. It had to happen through when the Cape expanded their playoffs to 6 teams, 3 from each division. They got in that way, and they didn't last very long. But they had a positive year because they got through it. They learned, you know, they moved on. They showed that there's going to be a Wareham Gateman after John Wylde, even though, and
that's the way John
this is
would
obvious.
want it.
This is obvious to us. You know, he's always going to be connected to that franchise, and he's never going to be forgotten. But the team will continue on without him, as Mick says, exactly as he would have wanted it to.
And they depend on a lot more people. That's much larger Gateman staff that makes things happen at that field. You know, and for that team, when non-game days, whatever, there's no way one person could do what he was doing. It's kind of like the old-fashioned sports information director at the college, where he's got these stacks of papers everywhere. You look in his office, and he's got an encyclopedia of information in his head and knows every record. Well, once that person's not available anymore, it's no way you can replace it. You have to have you know, expanded number of people, delegated duties and things that they can manage, because you can't get like that overnight, and it just doesn't happen that way.
It's just unsung hero after unsung hero.
I will say, though, that knowing Tom Gay and the work that he's done with the Gateway Babe Ruth team and other leagues that he's been involved with, I think he's the right guy to try to step in and at least try to fill those shoes.
It's incredible to me. I mean, Tom Gay in his day job is a lawyer, which is not something that you can just, you know, throw over your shoulder and, you know, fit in when you can.
Yeah.
He's a lawyer in his spare time. You know, he runs the Gatemen. He was their GM. He was their president. I know he's talked about trying to find someone for next year to take one of those roles just because it becomes so much. You know, John Wylde had the ability to dedicate his life to that team, and they benefited from it. Mm-hmm. You know, now they need to find that next generation of people to help them move forward, but they've clearly got the underpinnings there, and they clearly have very dedicated people who are going to get things done for them.
I will forever miss, though, the voicemails that John would leave, where he would say, you know, come by the field this afternoon, and you know, he had that voice, and that's, I think, what fans are going to miss the most, is hearing him call those games.
If there's any way that any of you out there who don't know about John Wylde, who can find out more about him and, you know, throw his name into Google and read some of the stories that you see, you know, that came out after he died about how dedicated he was to baseball, how much he loved the kids who played for that team, you know, how much he loved the community. It's incredible to me for him to come in and do what he did over a period of time, just to do so much for the game and to do so much for Wareham. It's literally awe-inspiring. I don't think I'm overstating it.
And he will certainly be missed. And the Gatemen, I think, are definitely on an upswing here. 19, 19, and 6 this past year, and all you need is for those ties to go the other way, and you're looking at a much different record.
No, they're always a very good team. They've always put together a very enjoyable quality of baseball and a very strong product. They've been one of the best teams in the league since John took them over, and that's a testament to he and his wife Patty what they've been able to do.